Hollywood titpoles are having trouble holding onto their directors. Not one, but two pop culture icons have left us, and Narwhal got him some strange just this afternoon. All this and maybe a bit more heading your way tonight. That's right, Nominators. It's Cinco de Mayo, Revenge of the Fifth, or Multiverse Eve. No matter what you call it, it's Thursday. And I'm your host, the Geek Boy. Joining us tonight is the overlord of the operating system, the Reverend IT Geek, and the commander of the 918 Northern Command Post, Mr. Narwhal. And we are kicking it off with another episode of this fantastic week. Goldar, the gamer with the golden throat, is currently watching Doctor Strange, and but the rest of us are here going to broadcast this for the rest of you, and it's good to be back. We had several conflicts last week that prevented us from coming on, not the least of which was the fact that there wasn't much news. But nevertheless, we are here this week, and I want to send a shout out to all the brave souls who've braved the weather and tuned in for us tonight. And as always, I want to bid welcome to our illustrious panel, such as it is. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing outstanding. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Good deal. And I want to welcome everyone who's chosen to tune in tonight and decided to burn some of their screen time with us. We certainly hope you enjoy the show, and we want all your comments, even if you're watching after the fact. We'll do our best to respond. Also, if you do enjoy what you're seeing, please leave a like and share this video. Also, if you're so inclined, please jump over to our YouTube page and like and subscribe to it as well. I have a funny impression it's going to be growing rapidly here as we move along. We're also trying to grow our presence on another platform. And we want to make that announcement tonight, Reverend?
Sure. We can hold off in a little anticipation, but let's just say that our programming is going to another level, one that we didn't see coming, I would think.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah,
so hopefully that entices a lot of people to come back and like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah, we've got a distribution partner, let's say, in the pipeline.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
there we go. Narwhal, you got any other phrasing that you would like to hint around that?
It may or may not be someone named Jeff Bezos who's bought us. We'll see if that pans out.
Actually, we were purchased by Elon Musk this afternoon.
Yeah.
For $19.
I just want to know. I was just wondering, do y'all receive your free flamethrower yet? I was like, I was talking with Elon to see if he'd send those out. I don't think he picked us up.
Not yet.
I don't think he picked us up.
By the way, the Wonder Midget's with us as well as the B5 Babe are in the chat.
Hey. Yep. And then there's this guy named John Heens or something like that.
Who's that?
I don't know. I think he's some strange stalker that comes in every once in a while.
It could be. Well, just so you know, we've got some let's just say we've got some programming that may be being distributed on another platform.
Yep. And
that's always good for us. And initially it's going to just be this program, but it may morph into another block of programming, that Goldar is administering for us, and that's called Fanboys 918 Night Crawlers. That's where he kind of plays a video game every week and does some live commentary with it, with some cheats and some things like that. I'm not.
He doesn't use cheats. No, he doesn't use cheats.
Oh, he does. No, I thought he gave advice, like how to best do this. That.
He gives advice, but there's a difference in the gaming community.
For me, that's a cheat. Okay.
Well, I know, but I don't want our viewers thinking that Goldar's cheating through the game.
Oh God, no.
So he's offering hints and advice, but no cheat codes, no nothing that boost your guy or your playing stats to an ungodly manner that makes the game maybe fun in a sense of just running through and just killing and smashing things, but it provides you an opportunity to kind of maybe help steer your way through a game that makes it a more exciting, more fun, and maybe helps you a little bit with some anticipation of how to grow and develop your character.
Well, it's true. And in the game he's doing now, he's doing Days Gone right now, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Well, and for me, see, one of the things I really can't stand are side missions. I can't stand them. I'm like, let's just go. Let's get. But and this is what I meant when I said cheats.
Talking like a true GM right there.
Right, exactly. But he's like, dude, if you don't do these side missions, you're not going to be near powerful enough to take on the big bad when you get there.
Nope.
So, yeah. So, I mean, that's what I meant when I said cheats. That's what I meant.
I know. But again, like I said, just
Understand?
laying it out there for our viewers, you know.
Right. Not being
Yeah.
part of the video gaming community, I'm more tabletop guy,
Yeah.
as several people can attest to.
Yep.
That's kind of how I thought. Now, another block of programming that has been steadily growing on our YouTube channel, and one that is, I believe, maybe winding down, is that correct, Mr. Narwhal?
It is winding down.
Oh,
This
what are
is
you
this
doing
is
for us
not
there?
the last one that we're going to have, but it's pretty darn close. And I got to tell you that I've shown all kinds of movies on Fanurism Flicks, everything from blaxploitation to horror to sci-fi B movies to old creature feature movies. But there's one genre of film that I haven't been able to feature yet that is near and dear to my heart, and that is the Kung Fu movie. But
Wait a minute. You did
Mhm.
Ninja Busters, right?
But yeah, Ninja Busters and Miami Connection have those kinds of karate stuff in it, but a kung fu movie specifically is very different.
Yes.
It is a kung fu movie typically is shot in Hong Kong,
Okay.
and it has a very specific style to it. You know, it has the wire work. It has also, it has typically plots that are driven by Eastern mythology or Eastern archetypes of characters. And there are so many great kung fu movies out there. Movies like Dirty Ho, or The One-Armed Swordsman, or Heroes of the East, and of course the one of the greatest ones of all time, the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. But all of these movies are ones that we haven't been able to get the licensing for to show here. But I did find one that I was able to secure, and it is one of my favorites. In fact, this is, if you've never watched an actual kung fu movie, this is one that I recommend that you start with, just because it has a wide sort of variety of storylines and characters and action that really sort of applies across the board to most of the kung fu movies that are out there. And this kung fu movie is actually highly influential. This is one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite movies.
Oh my God. Okay.
And not only that, this movie directly inspired at least one classic video game series, and probably also inspired a second one. So let's check out the 1976 feature film Master of the Flying Guillotine. Take a look.
He comes from beyond time, from beyond the outer limits of your imagination. He's the master of the flying guillotine. And he's ready to blow your mind. With more nerve-shattering special effects than you have ever seen before. It's a trip into a world where warriors from the ends of the universe meet in combat that knows no boundaries. A world where silent soldiers of death try everything in their power to conquer the most gruesome weapon ever conceived. See special visual effects filmed entirely in Super Cinevision as the master of the flying guillotine encounters the most amazing creatures in this or any world. As he experiences the most spectacular adventures the mind can imagine. The master of the flying guillotine.
And that was Master of the Flying Guillotine. So I'm going to take some guesses on what video games this was inspired. One's got to be Street Fighter, and the other one's got to be Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
I
That would be
mean,
correct.
so the
That
guy with
would
the
be
arm
correct.
stretching, I was like, that's easily a Street Fighter right there. And being
Oh,
a
yeah.
gaming nerd and everything like that. So
Oh
can't
yeah,
tell you how many quarters I lost on that damn game.
inspiration for Dawson in
Yeah,
in Street Fighter.
right.
Oh my God.
Talking about kung fu and everything, did you guys ever? I don't think it. I think it got only like made half a season and stuff, but it was the attempt to kind of bring back kung fu series.
Dude, that thing went a couple of seasons.
Did it go
Yeah,
a couple
Kung Fu the
seasons?
yeah,
You're
Kung
right.
Fu
So-
with the Carradine and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kung Fu
So
Legend continues.
yeah,
It came
so-
on right after Star Trek: The Next Generation. Yeah, it was Kung Fu.
No,
the
no,
Next
no, no,
Generation.
no. I'm talking about one that just came out in the last couple of years. It was
Oh,
a female. Yeah, on CW.
No,
They tried to revitalize it. It was a female lead character.
Mhm.
The opening credit,
Attracts,
was, it just, it wasn't very inspiring to see, to hear the opening credit. So it starts off that basically it's a young female. She's sent to the Middle East to meet a potential suitor that her mother has set up for her to meet and possibly marry. She wound up having to leave for her American boyfriend and break up because of the pressures of her parents. She got there, didn't want to be hooked up, and then basically, so she fled in the back of a vehicle and wound up at a Shaolin temple and become training in the Shaolin monk way. And
So the Karate Kid.
well, no, not right, but the opening was pretty weak on like trying to set the baseline in like a 5-minute process, but they kind of used a lot of the kind of like ancient myths of like special weapons that were, if they were combined together, they would make it one great weapon. And she was helping her community and stuff traveling around the world. So
Right.
the reason I know this is because it got stuck on a plane, well, not stuck, but I was flying back to Florida and had about 4 hours to kill between the flights, and I'm like,
yeah.
well, thank you, American Airlines. I'll see what I got in. And I actually watched, I think, almost 8 episodes of it because they're only 30 minutes and stuff.
Dang,
So,
dude.
well, I mean, I'd watched everything else, and then
Yeah.
everything else was either not long enough to fulfill the entire flight, or it was too long and I wouldn't be able to finish it. So I was like, what can I fit in here in these timelines to try to make this somewhat enjoyable? So I gave it a shot. It wasn't bad. I'm not throwing any shade or anything like that. It was very female driven kung fu series. I mean,
Very CW.
Very CW.
yes.
No Master
So-
of the Flying Guillotine.
No, definitely not Eddie Master of the Flying
Well,
Guillotine.
That
So,
dude, I am there for this.
what year did that come out? Narwhal?
That came out in '76.
Oh wow, okay.
Which in 1976, 1 year before Star Wars, you could say special effects like you've never seen. Yeah, so that's great.
So,
By the way, Lori Van Pool's in the chat, and we are glad to have her here as well.
hey, Lauren, and Ronnie Brown just joined us as well.
No kidding. Oh, yes. Thank you, sir. Good here.
Yep.
Great.
So,
Yes.
but anyway,
All right.
so that was
let's-
Fanuism Flicks. I think we
That
got
was
one more
Fanuism.
bit of shelling to do. If
We
you
do.
will.
Yeah. So lastly, as many of you know, the Rev and I have been doing a segment on Friday nights for quite a while now. It was actually inspired by Mr. Narwhal when he created a show called Firefly Friday, which then morphed into Sci-Fi Friday. That's when we did our truncated run of Space 1999. And now it's evolved into the latest form. Rev, are you ready to announce what that is?
Sci-Fi Friday.
That's right. We tried our best to do it without you last week. We did a pretty good job.
I do
that's right,
apologize
folks.
for not being able to attend as much. This having to have a job and everything like that, it just keeps getting in the way. And so I am looking for anyone that is willing to support me and support the show, so I can give up that day-to-day grind and just sit here and talk to you fine people every day, every hour, on the hour.
We need folks to buy a lot of t-shirts.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
That's right, folks. We are
Bruce Star
continuing.
just joined as well. Bruce Star's
Oh, that's great.
and we're just growing. Bam.
We are. Bam.
Love it.
We got a bunch of people in the chat. So anyway, we are continuing our journey through the classic 90s science fiction series Babylon 5. And just last week, which by the way, if anyone wants to check out a segment, this is the one to check out. We wrapped season 2 with the epic season finale of season 2 called The Fall of Night. And in 2 weeks, Galaxy Quest fans, on May 20th, in the year of our Lord 2022, we charge into season 3, known collectively as Point of No Return, with an episode called Matters of Honor. Now, some of you may wonder, why are we taking 2 weeks off? Well, 1 week was always in the plan, but then we discovered that we're going to be celebrating Shoe Gal's birthday. That's Mrs. Goldar, for those that don't know. And we decided just to push everything off a week. I mean, I guess I would be okay doing a pre-recorded episode if there was something like Exogenesis or Grey 17 is missing. But for the season premiere, especially a premiere of the season where the entire show changes, no way. I mean, this in this coming episode, we introduce a new character. Plus, Captain Sheridan gains a new tool for his upcoming war against the shadows. Would that a new tool? Would that be a good way to describe it? I mean,
I think so. I think so.
This is just something that's got to be done right, and doing it
Yes.
live is the only way to do it. Plus, does any of us want to attempt to do a live stream on Friday the 13th? Not me, baby. I'm not doing it. I'm not trying to do a live stream.
That's just setting up basic failure right there.
Oh, and Lisa said I'm sorry, B5 babe said we missed the rev. Yes, we did. We missed your input very much so last week, sir, when we were here. Then we'd have been here till 2 a.m. instead of 1 a.m. But it's all right. So with all that freckless shilling out of the way, let's get down to business. And unfortunately, that business involves another rest in peace segment. We
haven't had one of those in quite a while, have we?
know.
It seems like so
A few weeks.
It's just sad when we have to do it.
It is.
So the first of our 2 RIPs next week in Rep, I'm going to hand off to you. Comic book legend Neil Adams left us. Reverend, you want to comment on that?
So, I mean, and it's funny that Ronnie Brown actually tunes in tonight and everything. Neil Adams, what a just pure magician in artistry with the comic books he's affiliated with. I mean, he's drawn some of the most iconic Batman artwork that still lives today. I mean, when I heard of his passing, the first image that popped in my head, and it's one of my all-time favorite covers of a Batman comic book, is the one where basically he looks to be laying in a field of desert with a sword stuck in him after he's fought Ra's al Ghul, and he's walking away with Talia and stuff. And it was just like, that one right there always resonates with me. I don't know why. It was a great comic book, great cover, but for some reason it was just, I don't know. He kind of, getting up there in the ages, sometimes I get forgetful of what has happened in my youth. And so I can only assume that maybe the reason why this is probably the first time I'd ever seen a comic book cover where it looked like Batman had been defeated in a severely way, because this is all before Bane had broken his back or anything like that. And so to see that was very impressionable on me. But some of the other artwork he's done, I believe he was involved with the whole Spider-Man and the Secret Wars, where he got his black suit. He's very prominent with the whole Green Lantern, Green Arrow team up series and stuff. So a lot of people don't realize that when Green Arrow and Green Lantern first came out, they weren't very strong comic book leads, if you will. But they seemed to, when they had crossovers or matchups or anything like that, that there seemed to be an interest. So then they started a whole series with Green Arrow and Green Lantern together, which he was very pivotal in of that artwork. And so, Ronnie, if you're watching or anything, if you're listening and everything, if you've got any comments, post them in the chat. But we truly lost a art legend this past week with his passing.
Absolutely, and one of the other things that when I was kind of looking at doing some research for this, he was instrumental in the organization. I'm sorry, I didn't have it here in my notes. It's escaping me, but he was instrumental in forming the organization that allowed comic book artists to get some royalties from the people they've created.
Oh, see, I did not know that.
Yeah, basically the way it all worked, and Bob Kane was the exception. I don't know how because Bob Kane was an insider and he knew how stuff worked. But for the most part, if you worked for Marvel or DC or whoever, if you created something for them, that you were basically paid as work for hire. Well, there you go. Yeah. But any residuals or whatever later on, you just didn't get any of that. And he was one of the people that thought, this isn't quite fair. and he was instrumental in getting Jerry Siegel and Joel Schuster basically residual rights for Superman, and yeah, I mean, he was huge into that, and that part of his contribution to the comic book world cannot be whoa, what's going on? Narwhal's got an earthquake.
Narwhal's got an earthquake.
That cannot be understated.
The Sanctum Sanctorum is actually moving around on him.
Yeah, well,
maybe
he's going into the multiverse.
That's
maybe
right.
he's going into the multiverse of madness, but we'll find out later. So he was very proactive for his own community, and I thought that was really neat when I was reading up on him.
Agreed.
So the other person that we lost this week, and this may be kind of a weird deal for us to feature on Fanboys 918, but we always like to celebrate pop culture, and we do have an album corner when we would do it. And this unfortunately kind of intersects as we lost Naomi Judd this past week, who was one half of the singing duo The Judds back when, if you came of age in the late 80s, early 90s, as we did, you knew who The Judds were. They were one of the first concerts we saw. They opened for Garth Brooks when I saw them. And they had all kinds of duets. She's obviously the mother of Winona Judd and Ashley Judd, the actress. And she was instrumental in producing a lot of great hits for the country and pop charts in the late 80s, early 90s. And unfortunately, of course, I don't know if anyone remembers, but the reason that Winona Judd went solo was because Naomi, came down with a form of hepatitis. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. She came down with a form of hepatitis that was not going to allow her to continue to tour. So she separated with Winona. Winona went out solo, and eventually that hepatitis C came under control, and she was able to start doing some other things. And apparently, like a lot of people, she suffered from depression and a lot of other things. And she lost that battle on April 30th, 2022. I don't want to go into the details of that because it's a very sort of personal thing for the family. But her daughters basically tweeted on that day that today, we sisters experienced a tragedy. We lost our beautiful mother to the disease of mental illness. And that's pretty much all we're going to say, because I kind of feel like, just like when we celebrated Bruce Willis or some other folks, people should be remembered for their accomplishments, not for maybe some of their downfalls or things that they couldn't get past. So she will be missed, even though she wasn't really active. I think she'd been in some Hallmark movies and some things, but she'll be missed for the contributions that she made to popular music. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Narwhal, who has some Guardians 3 news, maybe. What's going on?
So I have been crawling across the internet for many years now, looking for all sorts of tidbits of information, mostly for my own entertainment. But now that we have this wonderful platform that we can share all these bits of information with, I've run across some information about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 that I thought folks here would very much enjoy. So, Reverend IT Geek, can you put up some of the stills of Peter Quill and some of the other people that are around him in that?
You want the stills or the TikTok? Which ones would you like first?
Well, let's tell you what. Let's do the TikTok first. So this is something that I found on TikTok, and this is actually a pretty big thing, because no other channel and no other sites have actually caught on to this.
This is an exclusive, folks.
This is as close to an exclusive as you can possibly get. We actually have a couple of pictures from the very the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. So let's play the TikTok real quick, just so we can take a look at that.
When you stumble upon the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday filming, Kingo poster, Drax, Mantis, James Gunn.
That was the TikTok segment. Sorry, guys. So I know it was short and everything, so the timing, try to get everything going, but I
it is
made
very
sure.
short,
Yes.
as most TikToks are. But in those few seconds that we saw, we actually saw some really interesting things. So first of all, you can see that this scene that they're filming takes place at Grauman's Chinese Theater. You can also tell that it is the holiday special because if you look at the stuff that's around it, it is actually let's hold off on those other slides for just a moment. Sorry, this one here that you got with yeah, so you can see that we're there with the holiday special, and you can see that there is a Kingo poster, and that is obviously the Kingo from the Eternals that we've seen, and then you can see the holiday sort of decorations around it, and then you can also see with them filming, they have James Gunn standing there as well as Drax and Mantis, who are actually there in costume, in full makeup. So they're obviously filming something there for the Guardians holiday special. So let's think about this, right? So we know now that this special takes place on Earth. We know that this is going to be sort of moving into stuff that happens after we get to Thor: Love and Thunder. And I'll be really curious to see exactly how they sort of set up the entire idea of Drax and Mantis running around on Earth. That's going to be a hilarious kind of a situation that they have there. So the other things that you're seeing on screen right now, this is stuff that's taking place for the filming of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and that is filming right now in Atlanta. You can see in the stills that we have, you have both Peter Quill and Nebula, who are standing there on a street corner, and you can see a number of other characters who are essentially animal type characters, humanoid animal type characters. And then you can see there is a picture of some graffiti that we have, and that is what we believe to be the main antagonist for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which would be the High Evolutionary, who is played by Myrn from Peacemaker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so while we don't have 100% confirmation on this, it's looking like we're going to really get into not only the High Evolutionary and Counter Earth, but my sources tell me that will be the creator of Rocket.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see sort of where it goes, and I'm sure that as time goes by, we'll have a few more leaks from the sets of both the holiday special as well as Guardians 3. It's going to be interesting. I really hope that they're able to stick the landing for this third film.
So the holiday special is dropping on Disney Plus, right?
The holiday special is dropping on Disney Plus, and that comes out this holiday season.
Right.
And then Guardians 3 comes out sometime in 2023.
Okay. All right. So basically we're predicting big things for Guardians 3 at this point.
Oh yeah. And it's going to be interesting too that not only do we have the High Evolutionary, but we also know that we're going to be getting Adam Warlock. So I'm very curious to see how they tie those two separate story threads together in the film.
That was going to be my next question. Okay, so we don't really know how that's going to work out yet.
No, because correct me if I'm wrong, there's not really a strong connection between the two in the comics, and obviously, the Adam Warlock character is sort of set up at the end of Guardians 2,
right?
And it doesn't seem like there's a strong connection between the two plot threads, but this is Marvel. Who knows what they could?
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to tie that all together because I remember Adam Warlock's introduction, with wasn't it when from the Secret Wars. When is it?
No, it was
Man, I just totally
Infinity
brain.
Gauntlet. It was
Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, there was a different Infinity Gauntlet series that Adam Warlock was involved with than what we saw in the movies and stuff. And he was the one that beat Thanos and took the gauntlet.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
yes. By the way, Ronnie Brown chimed in with I guess a response to what we were saying is that in response to Neil Adams' departure, he said certainly one of the quintessential talents with a unique voice, visual in the comic book art realm. I see this work in my head when I think of certain characteristics of Batman for sure.
It's characters and series.
So I have to ask in relation to that, Reverend, when you were saying that, there's a particular story that I love from the 70s era of Batman, where you see Batman staked to a post with a sword sticking out of his heart and his cape flowing. It was called, I think it's called The Night Batman Died. It was written by Harlan Ellison. Are you aware of that one?
No, I'm drawing a blank on that.
It was amazing. It was one of my, it was, and the reason I remembered is because I got it one of those, remember those oversized things that they used to do?
Yeah.
Like it was one of those.
Oh,
and
okay.
So, and that was the cover. It was Batman on a post with a sword sticking out of his chest. It was amazing.
Oh, wow.
And of course, again, it was Harlan Ellison. So you can't.
Yep. Can't go
whether
wrong there.
Whether you liked it or not, you liked it because it was Harlan
Exactly.
freaking Ellison.
Exactly.
So, but yeah. So
cool. So I think we've got and Ronnie, appreciate your comments on that. You know, great job as always on chiming in and everything. So with the we got great things coming with the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the holiday special, and even their I don't know how big of a bit they're going to have in Thor for Love and Thunder and everything, but obviously they're in that. So Guardians is definitely getting used quite a bit over the next year. I'm excited to see that and stuff. Let's talk about exciting and new things. I believe someone watched a certain little premiere today of a little space show that that sometimes when we bring up the words Star Trek, it gets the geek boy fired up in the wrong direction. But
it does.
I think with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, we may have found a new opening for his love to reign again. You want to talk about a little bit there, Geek Boy?
I'll talk about it briefly. I watched it. I got home from work and I couldn't resist, and here's the thing. I'm watching it in about 20 minutes in. Turtle Gal walks in from work. She's like, why do you do this to yourself? I'm like, why do you watch the Chicago Cubs play? Why do you watch the Cubs play, girl? She's like, okay, point withdrawn, same reason.
Walk away.
You want it to be good. That's why, you hope against hope that it'll be good. And everything will work out. Well, I have to say that from a 40,000 foot view, I freaking loved it.
Even the uniforms?
Once I saw them holistically, like in action on the show, yeah. I mean, that in the still photos, they look kind of like cheap cosplay. But yeah, I did like them. I mean, they're not my favorite, but they're fine. The Enterprise looks great. The one thing I've never really been able to wrap my brain around, and this goes all the way back to the J.J. Abrams 09 reboot, is like their use of space. And I don't mean the final frontier space. I mean the internal space. God dang, the sets are so big. And it's like, they don't quite make sense. Like the bridge is like, everything's got about... I wish the bridge was my house because it all has about another 500 square feet, around it's like, I don't know about that, but here's the thing. Let's get the bad out of the way first. There are one or two big canon violations that like hardcore trekkers like me will know. Like I'm raising my hand going, sir, excuse me. And there's a depiction of Vulcan culture that I'm not quite so sure about. Not so sure that it's been stated this way, but man, overall, it's a Star Trek story. It's a hardcore Star Trek story that works really freaking well. And I really enjoyed it. Really liked the crew. Really liked all the characters. there's a couple of they take a couple of legacy characters and do some things with them. I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but like if you said this is the concept, this is what we're gonna do, I'm like, okay, I'm really liking it. And the opening 5 minutes looks amazing. They've shown it on the trailers with Captain Pike riding his horse through Montana, and the show. Oh my God, it looks amazing, and the story itself is really freaking good. I'm gonna date myself here real quick, which I'm not ashamed of doing. I am a Sequest apologist, right? So not so much for season 2, but season 1, I'm a Sequest apologist. And there's a lot of elements from the Sequest pilot that I liked that are showing up in this. Like the captain that doesn't know if he wants to go back, that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things in it. And there's just a lot of things that really freaking work. There's some other things that make you kind of scratch your head.
I got a question for you, and I don't think it's a spoiler or anything like that. So is this supposed to happen before the cage, after the cage?
It happens after the cage and after Discovery season 2. So thankfully Michael Burnham's gone. So female, diverse space Jesus can't show up and save the crew every week.
You don't know that.
Well, they went to the future, so and
they can go to the future. They can come back.
That's true. But there's one brief reference to her that, like, whatever, maybe kind of threw up my mouth for a second, but that's okay. But no, overall, man, and here's the deal. Anson Mount, he's got that William Shatner, Patrick Stewart thing. Like, you cannot take your eyes off of him. Like, when he walks, any scene he's in, he owns it. You know what I mean? And he commands, and Avery Brooks as well. He commands whatever area the camera just tracks to him, right? And I can't wait to see where the show is going, because, and my God, the opening credits.
Man, the opening credits online, they are pretty sweet.
Oh my God, aren't they amazing? I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So the majority, I would say it's an 80-20. Like, there's about 20% that like kind of graded me because I'm a hardcore Trek fan. I will say that if you've watched Picard, modern Star Trek has an unhealthy fascination with the Borg and with Khan. All right. Whatever. And it's not great, but it's the overall show, about 2/3 of the way through, I'm like, I feel like I'm watching the Orville. And that's one of the highest compliments I can pay modern Star Trek at this point.
Wow. That is good praise. That is very good praise.
Here's my question: Is this first episode like the first in a big like multi-arc story thing, or is it?
No. Well, I don't know. They appear to be single like, I can see there being character arcs over through the series, but the missions themselves seem to be self-contained.
Oh, thank God.
So we're kind of going back to an episodic series, maybe.
Yeah. And here's my thing. That was one thing, like, there's a podcast I listen to called Enterprise Incidents, and they're rewatching the original series, but they're doing it from the mindset of like a Netflix show. Like, it's supposed to be serialized, and so they're trying to like reconcile all these different things. It's fascinating, but ultimately kind of goofy. And as Turtle Gal pointed out, you spent 2 hours and 30 minutes listening to a podcast about a show that's 52 minutes that you've seen 50 times. Yeah, I know. Whatever. I do a Babylon 5 show every week. Shut up. But it's kind of like that. Like, I think that what they're doing is each mission is episodic, but the characters will grow and change through the experiences they've had on these worlds, and that would be pretty cool.
I like that.
Right. And so that's Star Trek Strange New World on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Right.
The second best thing that Paramount Plus has dropped.
And they're going to drop, I assume they're going weekly every Thursday.
Yes, every Thursday. That's all right. It's my understanding. So if you want to watch really, really tremendous programming, watch The Offer on Paramount Plus. If you want to watch second tier great Star Trek, watch Strange New Worlds.
There you go. All right. So we had a little bit of a highlight there, a little, Geek Boy fan out on Star Trek: The Strange New World. So let's talk a little bit more.
Oh wait, hold on. We have some comments. Hold on, we got some comments here.
Okay, cool.
Ronnie says the Enterprise looks like a mashup of the original 60s design and the 80s motion picture concept. Just me. No, he's not wrong. I would say that's correct. Again, the hallways are a little too wide. The bridge is a little too big. But yeah, I would say that the Enterprise does feel like a real place. And Bruce Haley, if you like Picard, you've lost all sense of taste, and the quirks and strange new worlds won't bother you. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, like Picard, half of it was pretty good, but the other half is like pretty ridiculous. This, I mean, I guess, like I say, if I can tolerate Picard, this is almost like a godsend. But there's two or three things that canon wise, I'm like raising my hand going, wait a minute, this is not right. But ultimately, I was able to kind of power through those and appreciate the story as a whole. So anyway, I'm sorry. Where are you going, Reverend? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, so it's, you got your little fan out there on Star Trek Strange New World. So it's kind of, go to the downside here a little bit before we go into our highlight segment tonight. And that's a couple of directors who just kind of like, I'm out, bounced out. And so who wants to go first on, let's go, who wants to talk about Watts?
Mr. Narwhal, I've talked a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, so we've had a couple of directors that have jumped ship. So we've got Justin Lin and John Watts who have walked away from two of probably the biggest franchises. Well, let me back up. One of them didn't necessarily walk away from the franchise. He's just stepping away from this specific movie, and that is John Watts, and he is stepping away from the Fantastic Four movie. This one is currently in pre-production. We haven't heard a reason yet as to why he has walked away from this. Typically, these kinds of things are either, creative differences or issues with scheduling. Considering, his run in making the 3 Spider-Man movies, I wouldn't be surprised if the man just wanted a freaking break, just to give him a little bit of downtime, because making movies in the Marvel machine tends to wear on a person after a while, and I would not be shocked to learn that he stepped away from this just to get a break away from not just the Marvel machine, but just the man's been making these big budget blockbuster films for the past 4 or 5 years now.
Right.
He probably wants a break.
Well, and I had another thought on this, and then I'll let the Reverend have his word. He started an indie film.
Mm-hmm.
And he made that great movie Cop Car. I don't know, it's not for everybody, but I really enjoyed Cop Car. But my thing is, he went from Cop Car to Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
He has made, and let's think about this. He's done something not a lot of people can kind of put on their resume. He's made a Spider-Man film. He's made a Marvel trilogy. And each film of that trilogy that he made more and more money. And the last film he made is one of the top 5 grossing films of all time, right? And it happens to star Spider-Man and be a Marvel film. So my thing is, at this point, he could walk into any studio anywhere and say, I want to make this movie and get a green light, right? So but yet he was attached to a project that has been, as we've all seen, notoriously hard to crack. Whether it be the Tim Story Fantastic Four, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, or the less spoken about Josh Trank. For whatever reason, Marvel's first family has been notoriously hard to crack from a cinematic point of view. So let's say that he did it, and again, it failed to land. That hurts his statures, right? Right. It would only hurt where he stands right now. He has basically nothing to lose and everything to gain from walking away from Fantastic Four. And given his track record with Marvel, he could walk back in at any time and they would accept him. So I think this is a great career move from him. Reverend, what do you think?
So, you talk about what a great career he's built and how he's gotten to a point where, I mean, yeah, he can walk in and almost anyone's going to believe he can crack the hard shell of the Fantastic Four. However, he's built that career up to a point. How would it be to walk in, be this star level you are, and once again, Fantastic Four falls flat? Does he lose all credibility at that point? He comes in, reads the script, maybe even the actors that maybe are being pushed upon him, like, nope, this is who it's going to be. It's like, no, I don't see that. And they're like, nope, this is who you're going to be. And he's like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm not going to jeopardize my career if I don't have some type of creative control, creative say, whether it's over script, over actors, And so I've got to say that I don't know if it's saving grace for his career, but you come in on a high like that. There's a lot of expectation that people are like, hey, he's going to be the one that does it, and then to turn around and walk out the door. It's like, okay, so is it he didn't think he could do it? The studio didn't think he could do it. What was this all about? And so it's like, I think it all comes down to what his next move is will tell whether or not it was a good move or a bad.
That's probably true. I mean, because you got to figure, like you just said, to kind of piggyback on his last movie, Spider-Man, made over $1 billion, almost $2 billion, right? Like at that point, I mean, kind of like Jon Favreau, walks in. It's like, I mean, Favreau walked away because he didn't like all the stuff that was forced on him on Iron Man 2. He walked away from it. Like, I'm not going to do with that. So I totally agree that he could do stuff. He could make $3 million indie films from now till doomsday and probably wouldn't have an issue with it.
Personally, I think it was just that his first choice to play the voice of Ben Grimm passed away. Rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried.
What? Are you serious? That's not true, is it?
That's got to be a joke.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
That's a joke. Come on now.
There's no way. But that was a good one, because for a minute there, I was like,
what?
Right? What's the what?
By the way, the B5 babe loved my analysis, just so you'll know. So
that was not the B5 babe. That was Ronnie Brown. Man, put your readers on.
Dude.
Ronnie Brown.
Oh, Ronnie Brown. Yeah, it sure was.
Are you drinking? You just can't see over there. Or is it a little bit of both?
I just can't see. I just can't see. Dude, it's getting terrible.
Dude, that's why I keep these things on so I can see what's going on.
Getting off. Okay, well, so we don't make mistakes like that. Hold on.
To be honest, I mean, there they
go.
There you go.
Wow. My goodness. My apologies, Mr. Brown.
You know what? Take them off. It's okay. Be blind. It's fine. I think it's better for the show. But no,
voice for TV, face for radio. That's right.
So, but no, so anyway, Narwhal, what we were saying over your joke there.
It was a stealth joke, is what it was.
Yes, it was. It came in and landed a little later than we expected. So
it's all right, Narwhal. It happens to me all the time. Don't worry about it.
It does. Actually, I try to give him laughs just to build up his ego, and I know you're more secure than that, so that's why I was like,
you got it.
You'll get it. He's fragile.
They launch on Audacity. You'll see what we mean.
He's fragile. He's always fragile. That's why he's always calling himself the IT geek.
If you're killing me. So let's move on to our second director that has moved away from a huge paycheck. And that is we learned just earlier this week that Fast 10 or Fast X or Fast Space Force, whatever you want to call it, has lost Justin Lin. And dude, that was a big deal. I mean, he's directed how many movies? How many of these movies has he directed? Like at least 3.
Started with number 5, and then he did 5, 6, 7. I believe he skipped 8, and then he did 9.
So he's done 4.
He's done 4.
And he was working on number 5 here with basically Fast 10. And what I heard, and again, this is rumor, no, not that I have any inside track or anything like that, but he left due to conflict with what I hear is Van Diesel. In other words, he just could not work with him any longer. And I'm just like, wow, okay. I mean, you knew what you were getting when you walked into the movie and everything. I don't know what would have happened that Van Diesel was like, no, we out.
No, from what I understand, it was that a Diesel kept showing up late to set, and literally every time he would show up, there would be a completely new script. There would be completely new characterizations. The stuff that had been written before, he summarily chucked out. He is really sort of flexing his producer muscles in a way that the directors just don't really like much,
Right.
and in that his work ethic has been charitably suspect for many years. You have a number of people in Hollywood who do not enjoy working with him for various reasons, and it sounds like this is another example of that behavior that we've seen before rearing its head.
Right.
But still, this is like his what, fourth or fifth movie with him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty bad. Like, it'd be like when you guys like, Geek Boy, you need to stop drinking before we go on air.
No. That's cannon fodder right there. We can all understand. So I don't know. I mean, when it comes to Van Diesel, I mean, it's not that I don't think he's a dumb guy. Obviously, he's got some smarts. He's gotten this far in his career. He's made some great career choices. I mean, hell, obviously he's doing something right with the Fast and Furious chain that the studio keeps coming back and investing more and more money into it. I mean, with Fast 10, this will be the total of 11. I know he's not in. I mean, he's got a bit scene in Tokyo Drift, and I know he's got like no scenes in the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff and everything. But it all started with the Fast and the Furious, and if the studio keeps coming back. Now, I do recall way back when Van Diesel got started, there was a rumor that basically he said he would never do sequels. I don't know if any of you guys ever heard of that.
I don't remember hearing.
So I mean,
I do remember that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they came back to him to do a sequel for like Pitch Black, and he's like, no sequels. And so that was like his guns he stuck to, and obviously that has changed dramatically. So I don't know. I would think I would hope that he would have been a little more humble in his years of progression with the Fast and Furious franchise, and understanding that it's not about it's funny, I'm about to say it's not about where you come from, but it's about the family you form. You gotta have family, and
about family,
exactly. And and it's just not the actors on the set that are the family; it's the producers, it's all the hands that are there helping make the movie. No role, no job is too small on a set, and you got to appreciate everybody that's there. And to come in acting that way, man, eventually you're going to run out of that karma luck, and it's going to wind up biting you or slapping you across the face on a stage.
Yes, and that's a whole other podcast, by the way. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, guys, what movie has Vin Diesel done recently that doesn't have Fast in the title that's made a shit ton of money?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right.
I am Groot. Gotcha.
You are not wrong. But what other movie featured Vin Diesel in a starring role?
Pitch Black. Did it make some good movie?
Pitch Black, but that was pre Fast and Furious.
But you didn't say
both Riddick films have not done as well as they would have hoped.
No. But Pitch Black was great.
And I'm not saying they were bad films. They just didn't perform to the level that was expected.
Right.
Vin Diesel, I guess what I'm saying is,
hang on a second. Narwhal had some. What were you saying? What movie?
How about The Pacifier?
Oh man, that was cinematography masterpieces right there, bro. Dude. You
I
you
guess
haven't lived. You haven't lived until you've seen the past part.
or you haven't died either. The point I'm trying to make is that Mr. Vin Diesel has not been able to parlay his Fast and the Furious stardom into a successful group of other films, like the way, I'm sorry, maybe his counterpart Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has. Like, The Rock is one of the few movie stars we have left. Vin Diesel is not. He's the Fast and Furious guy.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. The Rock, dude, he is cashed in. I don't know if he met at the crossroads and Soul of Soul, or he has just been just that smart. I mean, he's got to be doing something right. The fact that he's got his ex-wife as his manager and they work well together, you know, and he keeps getting these parts that just seem to work out for him. And I mean, you know, to put those two together on a screen, I mean, I mean, it's probably good. You're expecting a hellacious fight and all that stuff, but I mean, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, man, he is definitely a force to be reckoned with. And Van Diesel, just for some reason, has not been able to latch on to that star power that spans different types of movies.
Right. Well, and like, so we didn't go on last week, you know, because there really wasn't a lot of news other than CinemaCon going on. But one of the things I saw from CinemaCon was The Rock showed up at CinemaCon, and people were like, "Man, if you want to know what it looks like when a movie star takes the room or the stage, that's what it was." Like The Rock walked out, and he didn't even come out on the stage. He came out from the back, was fist bumping people, grabbing people's cell phones, taking selfies. I mean, it was insane, right? They're like, it's
was he there for Black Adam, or what was he there for?
Yes, he was there for Black Adam, and he he had something else he was promoting.
Probably the Super Pets movie.
Yes, that was it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
he and Kevin Hart are both in that one, which are they're another great duo to see. I mean, I love them in what is it? Central Intelligence or
yes, yeah.
I love them as a duo.
Jumanji too.
Oh, Jumanji, yes, both. Yeah, I forgot about that one. So again, that's just
yes. The Rock was there. He was there, kind of in a dual role to promote Super Pets and Black Adam, and man, he came out there like the whole tone of the room changed. They're like he just owned the entire auditorium when he came out, you know, and then okay, you gotta rack some of it up to his WWE days. I mean, he came out there, they're like he knows how to work a crowd, and but like he would fist bump people, and he took the stage, and like, you know how on the screen Dwayne Johnson looks kind of big, like he's really effing big, and they're like he's ginormous in person. So
back to about Lynn leaving Fast and Furious 10.
Yeah,
that's what this whole segment's about.
It is, and I guess it's one of those things where, you know, the quote I heard was that this movie's not worth my mental health. Was what was reported
I had not
from
heard that one, but wow.
Yeah, and it tracks with what Mr. Narwhal was saying. So it's just strange that Justin Lin is known as a kind of a rescue guy. Like, he rescued Fast when Paul Walker died, and he rescued despite its box office growth, I thought Star Trek Beyond was a pretty damn good movie, and he rescued it when it was in development hell. So to have him walk away from a franchise he directed a lot of movies in speaks very ill of the Hollywood culture, I would say.
Well, not only that, you know, he was instrumental in bringing Han back to the franchise, and I know that he was really looking forward to really digging into Han's return more in Fast 10, and for him now to walk away from that opportunity, that says a lot as well.
But he didn't give me justice for Han.
Maybe he was going to give you in 10, and basically now Van Diesel screwed that up, bro.
Yep.
You get justice for Han.
Either way, I wanted some justice for Han. I didn't get it.
Didn't get it. This guy. You need sober up.
No Star Trek Discovery, no justice for Han.
Did you ever see the last Fast and Furious movie?
Yes. Oh, Fiero in space. Come on now.
Very hand wavy. Just whatever. Yeah.
It was very hand wavy.
A lot of hand waving going on. So
I ain't gonna lie. In that one, I was like, so what's the guy from Tokyo Drift's name that when they brought him back? I can't remember the actor's name. I'm like,
the guy that was on like CSI New Orleans or something.
NCIS New Orleans.
Yeah.
And stuff. I watched that movie and I'm like, my God, I hope you did not leave a successful series for this bit in this movie because, dude, I don't know if they oversold what you would be doing.
Yeah.
Let alone
Lucas Black. That's his name. Yeah.
But I mean, like what they were doing and like, because I was like, what's this all got to do? I mean, because where they introduced him and where they went back to him, it didn't connect until that. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. I ain't gonna lie, the Queen just like she loves Fast and Furious franchise. Yeah. But when she was like, I'm not saying anything, but 2 black guys in a Fiero in space, she's like, you lost me. You lost me. I'm gone. Check me out. Here's my tab.
Yeah. So I will be interested to see what this next one does, right? Like since this next one's going to be opening in a post-pandemic world, if it makes under $1 billion, that means the shine's gone off. The
show's over.
Over. Man, it's going to be Van Diesel driving the Mars rover on Mars. That's what it's going to be about.
Because it's all about family.
He's going to find out he's an ancient. He comes from a family of Martians who, soup up like space.
What if we find out that Dom is an ancestor of freaking Riddick?
And he's also a distant ancestor of his D&D character in The Last Witch Hunter.
Yeah,
and that's how they're going to tie in the
Dieselverse.
And he's being cloned with Bloodsport. That basically he comes up and he shows that he's alive there, and then what was it? And then he has a cousin. A few years back that actually worked in like some type of like what was it? Do you guys ever see that? What was it? Boiler Room? Did you ever see that one? So
yeah, it's gonna be a Vin Diesel verse. By the way, James Thomas is watching. Welcome, James. Thank you for tuning in, brother. Appreciate that.
And at the very end, Vin Diesel dies, and you see him, and he's been buried. And the post-credit scene is this little green sprout coming up from the grave.
Hooked on a feeling. That's what's gonna happen.
All right, we've gone way off the reservation on this.
Okay, now.
Yeah. So instead of talking about family, let's talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because it is Multiverse Eve for most of us normies, unless you're Mr. Narwhal, who, by the way, is broadcasting from the Sanctum Sanctorum. Yeah. So, Reverend, what are your expectations for this movie?
So that's really kind of a hard question. I mean, what we've seen on Disney Plus and the What If series, and what we've seen in the trailers, and a little bit even in what we saw with No Way Home and everything, man, it's hard to even kind of guess what we're going to get other than just the universe of madness. I mean, I'm hoping some of the things are paid off like we've seen there. So it's a talk on the internet. So not that I want any spoilers there, Narwhal, or anyone else.
Spoilers.
No, but this is going to be spoiler free.
Right.
Spoiler free.
So Courtney Morris, who usually watches, she's actually out seeing the Doctor Strange. In fact, she's probably done. I saw her talking to the Queen via text a second ago, but not checked it out. So I'm wondering what her input was. But all the elements that we've seen in the trailers, it's going to be fun to see them bring in some of the what if stuff. I'm hoping we see the Shield, so I'd love to see Peggy Carter come back in a live action, as Agent Carter.
Captain Carter, yeah.
Captain Carter, yeah. Captain Carter. So there's other elements in there. The Illuminati, that was always a cool storyline in the comic book on who they were. I'm curious on which version of the Illuminati we're going to get. Obviously, I think we already clarified that Charles Xavier's there. So
right. Oh yeah.
The one true answer that I think it needs to be answered. This is where you can introduce Fantastic Four with Reed Richards.
Oh yeah. This is where you can bring in all the mutants. You can bring in Wolverine, and dude. You don't have to bring him in, but I mean, just the introduction of Charles Xavier on the Illuminati. Dude, I think this is how they bring I think this is how they bring Deadpool into the MCU.
Well, I mean, so with Deadpool,
I mean, we already know we're getting Marvel zombies.
Oh,
we
yeah.
already know we're getting Marvel zombies.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Deadpool, I mean, he's always been that character, you know, he's the one that knows and he can see beyond the wall and talk, you know,
Right.
he, like I said, a lot of his comic books are always talking to the readers as well. So, I mean, I really had no worries. I mean, hell, you could almost have like a scene where it seems like he breaks through a film clip, you know, the film scenes, and he just like pokes his head down and then jumps into the scene and it's like, and talks to you. And I'll tell you right now, any Deadpool fan would buy that without
oh my
even
God,
a
yes.
hiccup. I think people would even love something like that if some big scene was, and then next thing you know, you just kind of see him drop down, and he's like, "Yeah, I was about five, what's the film thing's called? Not scenes, you know, where they're the squares.
Five frames. Five frames.
I was 5.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember. I've had a few drinks too. So
Me too.
yeah, he's like, I was about 5 frames up, and you know, I was just tired of waiting, so I figured I'd come down and just join in from here.
Oh,
what do you guys think? You can't go and look at the crowd like, what do you guys think? You fine with I start right here? Or did you want to wait? I go back and just have the whole dialogue right there.
Absolutely.
People would love the shit out of it.
Well, and the other thing too is this is their gateway to bring in all the they've been teasing us that maybe the Tom Cruise version of Iron Man is going to show up. I mean, all these things they've been teasing. This is their opportunity to bring it in. And I just, man, I tell you what, I mean, some of these are rumors, but these aren't rumors that Marvel has stamped down. I think they've purposely been selling all this. And if this thing works out as well as Spider-Man No Way Home, I think we're going to be in good shape. So
I agree.
That's our expectation.
What's your expectation?
My expectation is this thing should be batshit insane, right? Like we've got so many things. Like Marvel's been trolling us almost since WandaVision started with the multiverse. You know, we've got Evan Peters Quicksilver. You know, we've got the Fantastic Four, as we've talked about. We've got the X-Men, which, as we've said, we know that Patrick Stewart shows up. I would not be surprised if Hugh Jackman's Wolverine made just like a quick cameo.
Now there has been talk that Hugh Jackman's character as Logan shows up, not so much as Wolverine. Because
correct, yes. And I've heard that the Tom Cruise Iron Man shows up. I mean, these are things that Marvel again has not stamped down. And with all the rumors of reshoots, I've heard rumors that up to 80% of this movie was reshot. I don't know if that's true. But I could see that, like, if they were waiting for actors to be available, this could be a great deal. I'm so excited. This thing could be bigger than Endgame or well, let me put it this way. Maybe not bigger than Endgame, but at least as big as Civil War. You know what I'm saying? Like, this thing could be that big. And I think that Marvel has built it up appropriately from the marketing. I mean, for God's sakes, they showed us the Illuminati in the damn trailer. So what's that tell you? So this is going to be a huge deal. I am a little worried that the runtime is only like 2 hours and 6 minutes. I'm like, hey, can do that? But I have faith in Sam Raimi. So those are my expectations. With now, should we turn it over to Mr. Narwhal, who's actually seen the film?
Yes,
I think so.
Let me get up my eye of Agamotto here, and so I can give you sort of the first impressions of Doctor Strange. And again, no spoilers in this, so don't worry.
Correct, no spoil. This is all spoiler free, folks.
All spoiler free. I will just give you sort of my impressions. Let's talk about the good. Sam Raimi's direction is awesome.
Okay.
This film probably falls as close to a straight up Marvel horror film as we're likely to see. In fact,
really, okay.
There's some things that they showed in this that I honestly am very surprised that they were able to go there. Oh, wow. That Marvel was willing to sort of push the envelope in terms of the horror elements. that that they were able to do. And again, this is a Sam Raimi film,
Right.
and when I say that, I mean that in a very specific sense. This is
Right.
a Sam Raimi film. So, if you're remembering his his filmography from Darkman and Army
Yeah.
of Darkness, and some of those other early horror films that he's done,
Absolutely.
this definitely feels like a kindred spirit to a lot of those films.
Okay, so you can definitely feel his voice in this movie.
You can definitely feel his voice in his
Perfect.
movie.
Okay.
Fact,
All right.
And in fact, there is a cameo in the film from one of his, let's say, most well-known collaborators. That is probably the most Raimi-esque cameo that I've seen in many a years. So,
Okay.
Wow.
I think I know who that probably is, but okay.
yeah, the cameo is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Okay. All right.
That's the good.
Okay. That's all. That's it.
That's the good.
Oh, he's that's the good that he can tell us about. He can't. He's trying to keep.
Oh, okay. So before you go to what you didn't like, Narwhal, is this ultimately a thumbs up or a thumbs down for you?
I've been giving this a lot of thought. I would rate this film at a solid B minus.
Mm.
And it kills me to have to say that, but I would rate this film as a solid B minus because there are some significant problems with the film.
So you're saying I need to manage my expectations. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you need to manage your expectations in this. Marvel has really sort of set this up, especially with the success that they've had previously, and especially with what they've done with the Spider-Man No Way Home film,
right?
For people to expect like the second coming of movie Jesus, and the movie's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination, right? This is definitely not in the league of Black Widow or Eternals. This is not that film.
Right.
But compared to what we saw in Spider-Man No Way Home, it felt lacking to me.
Oh wow.
So do you have a feeling that if you would have saw this one before No Way Home, your rating would have been higher?
Well, see, that's an interesting point because so here's the deal, right? We were talking about the fact that this film has only a 2-hour, 6-minute runtime. The original runtime for this film was actually 2 hours and 40 some odd minutes.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I just posted that story earlier today. Yeah, I saw that.
So here's the deal. Originally, this film was supposed to come out first, and then Spider-Man No Way Home was supposed to come out.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So when Spider-Man No Way Home wound up coming out first, they had to go back and do a lot of rewrites and a lot of reshoots to basically make the story make sense, since you have essentially the multiverse being sort of introduced and set up in the Spider-Man movie, as opposed to probably what they had intended to do for the
second. Man.
Oh wow.
I could see what I'm hearing here and what the probably had it fallen when it should have. I think it would have probably been a better movie had they not had to do those reshoots for the
wow.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, Lori Alvarado's with us tonight.
Hey, Lori.
What up?
So yeah, so there's that, and then the other thing that it's not so much of a true criticism. I think it's they're trying to do something, and for me it didn't quite work.
Okay,
is that the movie feels weirdly episodic in a way, because they're jumping from multiverse to multiverse to multiverse, and then every time essentially they jump to a new multiverse, it's almost like a new set of circumstances,
kind of like Loki, kind of like the Loki show.
A little bit, and in
Okay.
fact, the person who wrote this actually wrote Loki. So I think that's
Michael Waldron.
yes,
Dude, this guy's got like 4 screenwriting credits.
yeah.
I liked Loki. I don't know why you're all hate. You're such a hater.
I liked Loki to a point. The
Yeah,
last episode.
Loki was-
Well, so ultimately, all this happened because Kang said it was supposed to.
So Loki was good for what it was, but
Right.
for what worked for Loki
Mhm.
doesn't really work for this film. You know, in that
Yeah.
the episodic feel sort of, I think, undercuts the larger story.
Okay.
And that's the other problem, is that the larger story isn't much of a story, unfortunately.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, because the plot is really kind of lacking, aside from the central conflict that drives the movie, right? You know,
Right.
you have your plot conflict, but then you also have your character development, and your characters obviously should start at one point and then progress to another new phase of their existence in a
Right.
way. You have to have that character growth.
Right.
And in this movie, you don't get that really, or at least not from what I saw. That the characters didn't really change. They didn't really grow, and they set up that they were going to grow, but it just sort of got lost in the shuffle.
Man.
All right, so one of the true questions here: is there a mid credits and a post credit scene, or is it a post credit scene only?
There is a mid-credit scene and there is a post-credit scene.
Okay, so Narwhal, I'm going to ask you a question. And this is based on a rumor I heard on the interwebs. Okay.
Yes.
Does one of the post-credit scenes involve Deadpool?
Do we want to know? Hang on. That's kind of spoiler.
That's a spoilery.
That's a spoilery. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
I will say, in terms of cameos, again, manage your expectations. There are cameos. There are cameos, and there are cameos that you have not heard of.
Okay.
There are cameos that have not been spoiled.
But are there cameos that we think are spoiled that are not going to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
F you, Marvel.
I like it. I love it. So I guess, all right. So is there?
I don't know, man. I'm not hearing good things here, but you know, I mean.
So are some of the are the cameos blatant enough that you know it's there, or are they like cameos in the background that you've got to kind of like, you better be paying attention? Like, there's no pee break in this movie.
The cameos are as in your face as they can possibly be.
Okay. So Geek Boy can actually get a little intoxicated and still see the cameos.
Oh, shut up.
Now
joke with John, like, hey, I know that dude. I saw him.
Now I will
everybody needs somebody
sometime.
Now I will say that there is another good thing with the movie that I can't talk about.
I think we're almost gonna have to have a follow-up to this segment next week.
But that's okay. We knew this is what this was going to be. I mean, like I said, we were going to voice our expectations. Sounds like you and I need to manage our expectations.
Expectations. Here's the thing, right? If they had released this movie as is prior to Spider-Man, it would have worked much better, because the cameos that you get in this film would have sort of primed the pump, and then you would have had the cameos from Spider-Man, which are much more emotionally satisfying.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
All right.
Yeah. So it's like there are really interesting cameos in it, but they don't quite have the punch that
no way
Spider-Man once had. And I will say too that I feel like Marvel did a disservice in spoiling some of the cameos in the marketing. I wish that a few of the ones that have come out very recently had not been spoiled, because they would have been much more interesting if it had been a complete surprise.
Okay. Well, because the stuff on the interweb is like, oh my God, this movie's got more cameos than freaking, Endgame and Civil War. Apparently
Yeah,
that's not the case.
it does not, because it is really sort of Doctor Strange and Wong and Scarlet Witch and the new girl America Chavez. It's really about the four of them who are undertaking this journey, and the cameos are literally just cameos where they come in for a specific reason, but the story does not revolve around that.
Okay. All right.
So I will say that the one thing, though, that I can't really speak about without spoiling some plot points, is something that I'm very excited about, because it has the potential to set up the next major level event in the Marvel universe, and it's one that we've been really hoping that would come up.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
There was
Light at the tunnel there, Geek Boy. Light at the tunnel.
I know.
There was one word that they said, and they say it multiple times. And when you hear this word, if you know your recent Marvel history, this word will get you very excited.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good.
All right.
All right. So
Man,
let's talk.
I know you were a little. I know you don't seem as jazzed about the movie, but I think Narwhal did a great job, and I'm still psyched to see it. So.
No, we're gonna go see it. I guess my thing is, I guess I need to bring my expectations down a bit.
Bring your expectations down a bit, because again,
It's awfully hard to do.
It's not a bad movie. It's really not. But compared to what I sort of had built up in my mind,
right,
that it wasn't as like, oh my God, as Spider-Man was. But then again, also too, the fact that in my opinion, the story wasn't as strong as it could have been or should have been, was also a significant factor in the reason that I gave it a lower rating.
Okay, no, that's perfectly fair. Wow. All right, so let's talk about something else then. Let's talk about box office. We know this movie's going to open big, right? But we also know that to get the kind of like Batman and Spider-Man numbers that have been showing up, that repeat viewings is what drives that, right? Yeah. So first of all, if I want to say if this movie opens below 160 million, that's going to be a disappointment. Do you think this thing could break 200 million easily? Narwhal?
In today's world, that
Spider-Man did it.
Spider-Man did it. I don't know. I don't think this one's going to do Spider-Man numbers. I think it's going to do good. I don't think it's going to do Spider-Man numbers, just because I think that it's going to have a big opening weekend. Second weekend may be good, but I don't know that it's going to have a big
stamina power. It's not going to have the stamina power, you think?
Well, and there's a couple of things around that, right? Number one, once word of mouth starts to spread about the movie, I worry about sort of the disappointment factor. And secondly, again, this is really a Marvel horror film. And I wonder if maybe families who might normally go to see a Marvel movie will, sort of either read reviews or hear about the more intense elements in the film and potentially shy away from it.
All right, I'm gonna tell you right now, that's gonna be a tough hill for Turtle Gal to climb. You know what I mean? Like, she's not a horror fan, and if it's too horror-ish, it's gonna turn her off. So yeah.
And then here's the other thing too. You know how they have been really trying to tie in a lot of the Disney Plus stuff with the larger MCU. In this case, WandaVision is absolutely required viewing for this.
Right.
So if you
it's a good point.
Haven't watched WandaVision, I don't know how lost you're going to be when you start watching the movie, because there are a significant number of plot points that are taken directly from WandaVision.
Wow. Well, and see, that's tough for me because I've made no bones about it. I thought WandaVision was a complete creative misfire. I mean, I didn't necessarily mind the concept, but the way it was executed was just not for me. So
And in
that's
this
So,
case,
yeah,
what about the What If
it's not,
series?
it's not the concept and execution, it's sort of the plot points that sort of were behind the execution, especially with, sort of the kids and the
gotcha.
magical spells and the stuff that was going along with it. Not so much the sitcom conceit that they had.
Okay.
What
Rev, you
about
had something else?
Yeah, so I was just kind of curious. I mean, we see various versions of Doctor Strange in the trailers and stuff. So, would you say the What If series is also a required viewing for this, or just certain Doctor Strange episodes are required for this
Um,
of What If?
what if is not as required viewing as I had
Oh,
hoped,
really?
because there's one significant character that I think we've all seen in the
Yep.
market recently, that is taken straight from the show, but
Right.
it doesn't necessarily mean that that is that specific iteration of that character. Because again, we're talking about the multiverse.
Right.
Okay.
And one of the points that they bring up a couple of times in this is that you have Benedict Cumberbatch, who is Dr. Stephen Strange, and so essentially Benedict Cumberbatch is Dr. Stephen Strange in every universe that's out there. So
Right.
you have this actor and this person, and they are that character throughout the entire multiverse.
Okay.
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 It's a lot of great information.
I really was hoping that this one was going to knock my socks off. I went in with pretty high expectations, and I think that sort of worked against it. I will be very curious to see how the non-MCU fans out there, how just the normal people out there,
The normies, yeah.
normies, yeah. And I'm also going to be curious to see how the MCU fans really key into this.
Wow.
So, is this something that you would like to go back and see again in the theater, or is this something you're just going to wait till it comes out?
I might go see this one again in the theater. It's one that I'll still buy.
Yeah.
But I don't know that this is one that I would necessarily put on repeat like Guardians of the Galaxy, or honestly like the first Doctor Strange movie, because
Right. Yeah.
that was one of my favorite MCU movies that we've had, and this one doesn't have that same enticement to it.
So what I'm hearing is this is not a direct sequel to Doctor Strange. It's a sequel to Endgame and WandaVision and
and in fact, I actually watched the first Doctor Strange movie a couple of days ago to sort of prepare myself.
Right.
But then I started thinking about it, is that we've had Doctor Strange, but then we've also had him appear in like 4 other films since his original film.
Right.
So,
you're right. Yeah. And Endgame being not Endgame, Infinity War being a big one.
Yeah, Infinity War being a big one, and there's some discussion about sort of the fallout from Infinity War. That's discussed, and there's obviously a lot of discussion about the fallout from Spider-Man.
Right.
That comes into the discussion, but for the most part, again, the story really centers on these 4 characters who go on this journey, who go on this experience together.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's all I had on the main lineup. Do we want to talk about the Obi-Wan trailer or save that for next week?
The what trailer?
Obi-Wan.
I say we save it for next week. Let's,
Okay.
I think let's end on that with this being so fresh and for our theater people going to see it this weekend. I think it's a great note.
I think it's
Maybe
good.
let's do a review next week with spoilers.
Absolutely.
And actually talk
Yeah.
because all four of us will be able to see it by that time.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, that
then,
and the ladies too. Who knows who wants to jump on at that point?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So
No.
we may have a bigger turnout next week. And let's do a Doctor Strange 2 review
absolutely.
spoiler as one of
Yeah.
our talking elements, and then we can talk further about Obi-Wan.
Okay, sounds good. So, okay, folks, that's it for tonight. I want to remind everyone that Sci-Fi Fridays on hiatus until the 20th. A new episode of Nightcrawler is probably going to drop this weekend, and we have a new Fanurism Flicks, as well as some other things going on. So, thanks to everyone who tuned in tonight. I want to thank my co-host, Mr. Narwhal, and the Reverend IT Geek. I'm Geek Boy for Fanboys 918, signing off.